You want to be a thought leader in your field. You want to make sure that you're marketing effectively, really pulling on the heartstrings of your right fit audience. You want to start with why. It all starts there. And that's why we have Jesper here today. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself, why this topic matters to him, and why it should matter to you. Jesper, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from the Los Angeles area. Now, my name is Justin Quinting, and I wanted to share a story. Growing up, and this is a memory that my mother had shared with me a few years ago, but an early memory that my mother had of me is that at age 5 or 6, I believe that was the age, I had said, when I grow up, I want to be a leader. And this is at age 5 or 6. But when you think about that today, that seems really cool. But at the age of 5 or 6, what does a 5 or 6 year old know about leadership? I'm still trying to figure that out today. What influenced me to say that at that really young age? What in the world is leadership? But over time, as I got older, there were many opportunities that fell into my lap. For example, when I went to college, I started getting involved in various extracurricular activities like new student orientation and student government. After graduating from college, my first job, I was actually in a supervisory role, and that gave me more leadership experience. And then, inspired by what I was doing, I went back to school to get my executive master's degree in leadership and then learned more about the field. And after I graduated, I landed into the management development program for a Fortune 500 company. So my background in leadership was both academic and corporate. And then throughout the years, I've just gained more experience. And within that, I've just gained more passion. So I enjoy helping leaders build stronger teams through team building activities, executive coaching, and other ways to really help them grow. So that's my story. And this passion for leadership, it's really grown in me. And the reason it's important for our audience is because when it comes to leadership, it's all about messaging. And when you look at messaging, especially when it comes to marketing, you want to make sure that as a marketer, your message comes off correctly. What I mean by that is when you have a message, gone are the days in marketing when you can just put an ad out there and say, buy, buy, buy. You want to take it a step further and say, our product does this. It energizes your life in this way, and it could make a difference in your life, because gone are the days when you could just put an ad and just put a price tag and say, buy now. But we've evolved to a new, more, we've evolved to, a society that really looks for services and products that can make our lives better in a meaningful way. And that's where the messaging from leadership comes in.
I think that one of the most impactful words you used there was meaningful. Because when it comes down to it, any sort of communication messaging that you're using within your marketing, because remember, you're never not marketing. And this is really huge. So whether you're doing it for your business, whether you're doing it to advance your career, whether you're doing it to convey a really important message to your spouse or your child, do it because I said so. Doesn't work. I don't believe that it ever worked. The only time that saying buy, 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 or putting something out there with a price tag actually worked was when you had far fewer options available to you, and that was the thing you needed, and so you bought the thing because it was there. That doesn't exist anymore. Everyone's got Amazon. Like we know that there are options out there, so why yours? And that's where messaging and marketing play a role. And that's where establishing yourself as a leader in your industry through thought leadership, compassion, and a number of other things we're going to talk about today is going to set you apart and make you the go-to person, as though it were back in the day when you just said, buy now. So what are some of the things that influence that sort of impact, that sort of thought leadership that draws people to you as an actual leader in what you're doing? How can you get people to do what you want them to do?
Exactly. So that's a great question. And you brought up a great point about in today's world, we have so many options. And in order to stand out, we really have to step up as leaders in our fields. And to do that, to get people to really buy into our message, you want something that's inspirational and purposeful. Because when you have something out there that's, I'm going to use a business example. If you're in a company that's only focused on the bottom line and only the bottom line, you're going to lose the faith in your employees who want something more than that. If you look at today's work world, there are many people who are really looking for that sense of purpose and meaning in their workplace. And if they get that feeling that the work they're doing is only covering a paycheck and only covering their bills and nothing more than that, they lose that energy and enthusiasm. So, in the world of marketing, if you really want to stand out, you want to step up as a leader. And in order to do that, you want to make sure your message really inspires others to really believe that whatever product or service that you're promoting, it's really making a difference in the lives of others. So, excellent question, Shauna.
And I'm thinking too, I love that, really making a difference in the lives of others. Because in marketing, a lot of times when you're marketing your own business, you're looking to get that impact, to have others perceive that impact for themselves. Because there's a rule in the Building Your Story Brand book by Donald Miller that I really like, is that your client is the hero of their own story, not you. And so if we're talking about making an impact on others, don't get me wrong, many of our small business owners, clients want to make an impact on others. They're very altruistic. They want to do good. But in the end, they're still the hero of their own story. So they need to feel like you want to make an impact on them, a positive impact, and not only feel like you want to, but also feel like you're capable of doing so. So you really need to have that established authority. You really need to be a thought leader in your space and somebody who they feel like they can connect with. Is that something that you're seeing mirrored when you're helping your team building activities, when you're actually getting the leader to step into that role in corporate as well as in the small business space, entrepreneurial space?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the world of marketing. I'll show marketing and then I'll show team building. But let's look at social media marketing, for example. When you scroll and you see a business post that says, we do this, this, and this, on the one hand, sure, you'll be impressed. But on the other hand, if you see another business saying, we do this for you, we do this for you, we do this for you, that's positioning the client as a hero and the business as a guide. And back to your reference to Donald Miller, that's where businesses have the opportunity to really make that impact on how they can serve others. So back to team building, that would go to really similar for a leader. It's providing that hero's journey. The team is more than employees. They're there to make a difference in the work they do. So for example, I had worked for a travel company, and pretty much if you look at the business details day to day, the goal is to get the client from point A to point B, point A to point B, day in and day out. But when I reframed the messaging of what our department stands for, I mentioned to my team, we help clients achieve their dreams by reaching the destinations that they've always wanted to go to. So when you reframe your organization's message in a more meaningful and inspirational way, that really captivates your audience and your employees and really motivates them to really try and experiment new things in moving forward. So, as far as that messaging, very crucial in helping others uh, move forward. And back to that message of helping others feel like a hero, really, that's the opportunity to help them grow.
Absolutely. It's so funny because you talk about things like like getting you from point A to point B, and then and then versus achieving their dreams. I think to myself, yeah, if I went to a place and someone was like, "Oh yeah, no, I can get you to go to Edmonton, no problem." Okay, but if somebody says, "Absolutely, we're going to get you visiting your friend in no time." Wow, that's a huge difference. Now I'm okay, take my money. I want to visit my friend. I miss her and I love her. That's a different story. So yes, that messaging plays a huge role. You're I am thinking to team building. I am the kind of person within my business, and this is what I encourage for my clients too, is to build a community around us, which is very similar to what you're building as a leadership in a corporate space. And you know what, leadership on social media, because remember, social media is a social platform.
That's right.
So to create a following, a community around you requires leadership. And in order to do that, I've heard many people say this, and I love it to bits. You need to start a movement. You need to get people to surround you with the same ideas, the same passion, the same results oriented, impact making, let's go, huzzah mentality. And that starts with why. Let's go into that.
That's right. That sense of purpose. I know in a previous conversation we talked about Simon Sinek and start with why and Apple, and it might have been Dell, it might have been a different company, but
I don't
we were
remember the company.
we were talking about the differences with the other company. We'll just call it Company A as we're trying to remember what the actual company name was, but they were just focused on the features and benefits. Oh, look at this! Look what we can do. On the other hand, Apple, they mentioned the transformative power of what they can do. And as you can see in the results over history, Apple really made that difference. And Simon Sinek pointed that out.
Actually, I'm wondering if and when I find there's a really great clip of that I had saved somewhere, of course, in the interwebs of our technological world. I'll find it and I'll add it to our recordings here so that people can kind of experiment with this idea, because I think it's really powerful. And of course, almost everything Simon Sinek is saying is impactful for marketing. So I encourage everybody to take a look. But when you brought that up, I thought, yes, that emotive value that Apple brought into their marketing that drove people to spend thousands of dollars on essentially the same product is where it's at. That's the leadership. That's when they tap into, why do I want this computer? Why do I want this phone? Is it because it's got the fastest speed? Or is it because I'm an innovator and I'm a leader? I'm a leader in doing the next thing, or I'm a philanthropist and they believe in the same things as me. These are your whys. These are the things that really get people taking action and diving into your world. But if I'm a leader and I'm not 100% sold on my why, like I'm like, well, this and maybe that and a little bit of this too. How do we narrow it down? How do we get it refined, that why, so that we can really be the leader we aspire to be?
That's right. Actually, you brought up an excellent point. It scares me when a leader doesn't know what their mission stands for. That, in addition, what their business, what their products or services, if they're selling something just to make a quick profit, I mean, sure, yes, profit is important, absolutely important. But if it's the only thing that's driving their behavior, over the long term, that can burn them out. On the other hand, if a leader takes the time to have these discussions with other executives in their company or other employees and really drills down to what they're striving for, that can really raise energy levels and enthusiasm. So, for example, let's say you're operating a fast food company and day in and day out you're preparing food day in and day out, and that's pretty much I mean, there's a lot more to the business model, but for the sake of simplicity, you're producing food for hungry customers. However, if you reframe that and discover a purpose, and you're telling everyone that you're actually fulfilling a need, and that's hunger in your customers, and you're providing it at a valuable price, that way you're adding more impact to what you're serving in your organization. I know fast food is one example. There are plenty of examples, and I just shared a simple one, but
Well, you know what? You actually make a really good point. Look at the Happy Meals. What are we contributing to? A lot of times the promotion is to Ronald McDonald House. What is that for?
yes,
Sick kids and their families, keeping people together. That's a whole different story. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a huge proponent. I don't invest in Mickey D's very much. That's not really my go-to place if I'm going to eat out. But if I do, if the kids are gung ho and it happens to be Happy Meal Day, I'm going to support those sick kids. I'm going to do that. Why would I not? It aligns with my morals and values. That's the movement I want to be a part of. They've got my money. Done. All because we start with that why. Why am I doing this? to keep people together, to create a sense of community. There are a number of different ways you can approach that. I think that's really powerful. But how do you get there? As an individual, how do you get there so that you can start integrating these very strong beliefs into your messaging and into your leadership practices? What are some of the questions you ask?
Excellent. So there's a great way to start by really defining your values and see what your life stands for. And that goes back to what you could do is reflect on some defining moments in your past where you've really been either challenged or uh, been provided some insight into what really lights your fire. So, for example, let's say someone was overcoming some health obstacles, and then, for example, let's say uh, they grew up with asthma or something, and then they were just motivated because of that to prove themselves that they can overcome that obstacle and become a strong athlete. That becomes a defining moment. So really, uh, trying to clarify your values based on what you've discovered in your past, any obstacles you can overcome, any challenges that you can push through. Those are great defining moments because that really builds your character as a leader and using that to really define what you stand for. And then back to organizations in adding to their purpose. You brought up a great point with the charity for McDonald's. Many organizations can team up with other charities, and other organizations can really make it very clear what they stand for. For example, Patagonia. It's and I know it's a outdoor lifestyle organization. What they do, I know they've had surfing days for their employees to really prove what they stand for. So, examples with organizations, if you have a certain value that you stand for, whether it's active lifestyle or mental health awareness or anything that's related to other leadership characteristics, if you can find ways to really exemplify those in your organization and having days where you make those happen, that really adds to the value of what your organization stands for.
I love that. And I love that so much more when you put it into the context of the fact that you're never not marketing. Because
That's right.
every day, when you're living, when you're actioning your day to day, it markets who you are as a person, as a business owner, as a corporate I don't know what the proper words for the corporate owners,
Executives.
executives. That's right. I lost the words. Um, you show it. You show it to your team, whether you've got
That's
a
right.
large team or a small team, whether it's you who's your team. Because remember that if you're actioning something that you say you believe in, then that's going to make an impact in whether or not you believe yourself to be the leader that you say you are, to be the empath that you say you are, to actually that you condition yourself. And this is neuroscience. You condition yourself. This is why mantras work, why daily affirmations work, because you're conditioning yourself through actions to believe the things that you're telling yourself. So we need to be very aligned and careful about how our actions and our values come together.
Actually, that brings up to a very core point. As the leader of your team or your organization, you are the marketer of your team or organization. So, whatever message you're putting out there, your people are going to see that message as the message of the team or organization. So, very excellent point and theme that you brought up earlier, Shauna.
That's massive. It truly, I see that in the day to day, even just as a parent. I have 3 small children. If I say, hey guys, we shouldn't be using screens, then I had better damn well not be on my phone. Because we're not going to have that mixed messaging. That's not going to work for me. That's not going to get me the results that I want to get in of being able to play board games or go outside and hang out with my kids. That won't happen if I'm sending these mixed messaging. If your goal is to get more clients and achieve a bigger impact, then you should really be thinking about whether or not you're sending mixed messages, because a leader is not going to show up with a well maybe kind of messaging. That's not how it works. So that's I guess the be all and end all of it. Okay.
Another great example is when managers and leaders say they want to promote work-life balance, but they're asking their teams to stay overtime. That's where the mixed messaging comes into place and can cause a lot of confusion and eventually, if it happens over the long run, chaos.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've been speaking to my husband, to my friends who still have corporate positions or work shift work or something like that. And they talk about this work-life balance. They don't I don't think they know what it is. It's like, "Oh yes, work-life balance as long as it's on the life side of it, not the work side of it." And it's so funny. And actually, interestingly enough, as we close out, I want to encourage everyone to take a look at another episode we recorded, which kind of addressed this and saw this in action with a gentleman, Chuck. Um, it's another link that I'm going to have to put down in the comments, but it was all about anti-agency. So if you're watching this now and you're like, oh, I really like this concept of work-life balance, and I'm wondering how it can actually be done well within a corporate space, within a small business space, and even as a business owner. That conversation was amazing. It's all about anti-agency. I'll see if I can find that link and drop it down. But in the meantime, take a look around and see what's up. Now, Jess, I've got to ask you, are there any points that we missed that you have it in your heart, in your soul that you want to share? And if so, please do so now.
Actually, in a previous conversation, we had talked about the Sonder effect, and that is related to both leadership and marketing. And I'm going to give my best shot. I know it's a complex theory, but in Sonder effect, it's the realization that the human uh, the human side is a lot more complex than you realize. And how that applies to leadership and marketing. For leadership, there are just different things that drive our behavior. And when you can find the right balance, you can better motivate your teams, employees, and other people to take the right actions. And when it comes to marketing, very similar. And I'd like to add another layer. When we talk about marketing, many times we talk about ideal client profile and avatars. And when you take Sonder effect into account, you realize client profiles are a lot more complex and nuanced than we realize because there's a lot to what motivates a individual to really make a purchasing decision. So when it comes to the Sonder effect, very relevant to leadership and very relevant to marketing. So I'm glad you brought that up in a previous conversation, and I was excited to bring it up again.
I love that. I love that. And don't forget to tell people where to find you, because trust me, you should. I'm talking to you guys watching this today. Talk to Jess because he's got a lot of things to say. Like good things, guys, good things.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, familyconsulting.com, or feel free to reach out and search for me on LinkedIn, Jesper McQuindang. And happy to talk about leadership, marketing, personal growth, professional development, you name it. I enjoyed those conversations.
And you know what? We're just going to go ahead and say you not only enjoy them, but you're damn well good at it. We start going, we go down a path and it'll keep going. It'll blossom into these new, beautiful ideas. I had forgotten about our personal conversation about the Sonder effect and that impact. That is such a good point about your client avatar and the depth within which you need to journey in order to truly place that right fit client into your client's journey, to make sure that you know exactly where you are hitting the right nerve with enough respect to their humanness to get them to dive in and invest in themselves by working with you. It's a huge journey and something for another day. So thanks for bringing that up, Jess. And to everyone else, please don't forget, this conversation isn't over. Connect with us, leave a comment, subscribe for the next conversation, because they all feed into one another and we're here to keep the conversation going. We're not going anywhere. So like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and we will see you